I know you're expecting the typical intro for the Carrot and Stick podcast, but this one is a little bit different. This is the first time that we took the Carrot and Stick podcast on the road over to America. Now, we didn't fly out there specifically for this episode, but given we were over there, we thought, you know what, let's try something a little bit different. Today, we sit down with Ross Fraser, who's the MD over at Connecting Experts. I've known Ross now for quite a while, and I thought while I was over there, given he was in Austin, Texas at the same time as me, let's sit down and understand why Connecting Experts is making an expansion out towards the US. Of course, we talk through other topics on top of that, such as data, we go through leadership versus management, all the kind of good stuff and valuable insights that you expect to get from this podcast, but it's a very unique one, and I really hope that you enjoy it. Bear with us, we had one camera, a couple of microphones, and we hope for the best, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come out absolutely great. So without further ado, let's get into the podcast.
Thank you for having us up, first and foremost.
You're welcome.
I said to you before we went live, I was going to talk about the weather because it feels like a really British thing to do.
Yeah.
What the bloody hell has happened this week? Because 2 or 4 days I've been here, it has absolutely pissed it down.
Well, I've only packed shorts, so clearly I didn't check the...
When I came up and you were in shorts, I was like, that is a man who came out today believing it.
Yeah, in all fairness, we weren't meant to be here. We were meant to be in another location, but the rain has been that bad, I'm not planning on moving, so I don't know.
It's when you messaged me just like, I'm not leaving the office, so I was like, don't blame you in the slightest. So I was going to lunch earlier and I thought, you know what, it's spitting a little bit, and like in the UK, a bit of spit, it won't hurt you.
Yeah.
I got on one of the scooters and then just suddenly... The heavens opened and I was just like drenched through. It was unbelievable.
See, like yesterday, I got a scooter back from Target, random, because it was so hot, and I was like, I'm not walking. I'll just come back and I'll be But now is I don't know. It's like the apocalypse has happened of some description. So
it's horrific. So either too hot or it's too. It's just a UK thing to moan about weather. I think no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, it's still hot. I can deal with that. So whatever. It is what it is.
Well, here we are. So, for those who will listen to this as well, they want to know, of course, is it worth me listening to 45 minutes of this? So you best give us a really good intro to yourself, mate. So, Connecting Experts. Yeah. I'm sure there's some background before that led up to this point as well. Just give us the kind of intro to you in a few minutes.
So, firstly, we've just become a Sunday Times small businesses top place to work.
Congratulations.
Yeah, which is cool, I suppose. So fair play to the team in London. But I'm 13 and a half years in recruitment. Started for a well-known business, which I won't name, for 5 years.
Can I find it on your LinkedIn?
You can find it.
And you may
on
as well
LinkedIn.
tell what it is.
It's called Chapman Black.
Thank you very much.
It's no longer around, but and then there's been offshoots of that. So there's guys that have started their own businesses that are also ex-Chapman Black. Interesting. But I started Connecting Experts in 2016, just myself. And we've grown to, let's say, 40-ish people in London. And this year we opened the office in Austin, which is where we are today. We've got 3 areas. So clean tech. Our whole sort of heritage as such comes from the automotive sector. So the clean tech was like electric vehicles. Then we sort of evolved that into other industries. We've got a technology business, which again was automotive software and technology inside the vehicle, and that's obviously evolved into cloud and just various other bits and pieces, but embedded software and stuff like that predominantly. And then our historic, like the foundation of what I've always done is manufacturing, so automotive vehicle manufacturing, and then that's evolved into basically any commodity-based manufacturing, so like plastics or metals or I don't know. There's some electronic stuff as well, but predominantly like plastic and metal-led commodity stuff. And loads of what they do is like transformation, restructuring. They do a lot of stuff with private equity, so it's a super interesting space. We've grown really, really well. Like we've had some obviously really good times. Obviously, I think everyone's faced a year, 18 months so of difficulty as such in the industry, but I think it's made us a better business. It's made us really sort of sharpen up what we want to do and how we want to operate, and I can see definitely positive outshoots from what we've been doing this year.
Love that. A couple of questions around what you said there, because I'm really curious. We spoke before we came on live a little bit around about focus and about how businesses shouldn't kind of go too wide, for example.
Yeah.
And you mentioned sort of 3 areas that you're in then. Did you start in just one? Have you always done all 3? If not, what led to the expansion into those 3?
Yeah.
Give me an idea about that.
So the automotive part was like the the nucleus, let's say, of what we did, and it kind of still is to a certain extent. But those areas always, there was always opportunities to touch the different teams that we did. So we were always getting requests from people like, okay, we do manufacturing, but we're also looking for engineering people, or, you know, we've got loads of engineering searches, but we're also looking for like finance director. So it became quite easy to then structure it in such a way. So now, like, for example, we're structured in a way we've got like someone who focuses on, I don't know, supply chain, for example, but they're focusing on supply chain for Europe. Then we've got obviously this office here, so we've got someone who focuses on wind project development, North America, as an example, in our clean tech team. So I think what we've been able to do, and again, it comes back to how the world operates in some respects, is look at like what's going on in the world, like from a political point of view. You know, what are the economic factors that are affecting consumers? What are the environmental factors that are, you know, in government or with, you know, organisations in terms of like ESG and, you know, climate change and all that sort of stuff, and how can we as a business, obviously the technological transformation of the world, like how can we as a business operate in such a way where we can be at the forefront of those. So all of our teams have the opportunity to work with each other in different ways. But that's the strategy behind how we are growing as such, if that makes sense.
So it's kind of the natural growth there of going into those additional sectors when clients are saying, you know, we know you do this for us, but we also want someone over there, and that's kind of linked. So it makes sense.
Exactly. And then I've been lucky that I've had really good individuals that have been able to really take that and drive that and grow that, and, you know, take, like with any business, like if you're the only person that's coming to the table with ideas, it's not really going to go any further than where you take it, if that makes sense. But when you've got people that are coming to you and saying, well, actually, I think we should be looking at this as well, and looking at actual reasons why they're doing that, then, you know, the business has loads of opportunities to develop. And the reason we're in Austin versus other locations.
The second question was going to be why Austin?
Well, the guy who's here, Luca, went to me, why not Austin? And I was like, I don't know, just never looked at it. And sort of we then invested. We looked at Miami, we looked at New York, we looked at, to be fair, those two. And there's loads of reasons as to why to do that versus this. But this when I came here, met people and spoke with people, and just the time zone, central time zone for the States, it was just like, you know, it was a no-brainer. So
It's getting a lot more expensive here now that we're here.
It is, but there's also like next to no tax. So
yeah, true.
It kind of, to be fair though, like the only thing that winds me up is that I go to get a coffee, and I pay whatever the coffee is, and there's just a tip on everything, like 20%, 25%. I sound really tight when I'm saying that, but
no,
like,
you sound like a Brit. I think. I think all of us have this really strange like thing over here. You know what got me the other day? I went for some food, and the tip thing I've kind of got on you. I've been in and out half a dozen times.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
You can. You know, there's actually, I went for a place called Paperboy for breakfast earlier.
Wow, okay, yeah.
They don't charge tips.
Really, yeah.
Don't even ask you for a tip, no, because they're like all about paying.
You feel like you should
right
do it
amount.
though, anyway.
Well, I wanted to because the service was great, but like they were like, no, like we're paid like properly, air quotes.
Okay,
well,
yeah,
so they don't charge tips. So I was like, fair play to you.
Yeah.
But the one that got me the other day, I got some food, and at the bottom of the receipt, it was like, in fact, I was in the airport. I think it was in Philly. And it was like, all tips, all checks have 3% added on extra for employee well-being and benefits.
Yeah.
This does not form part of their compensation. I was like, why don't you start charging for the rent at this point? Let's pay for the fuel while I'm here as well. I mean, buy some clothes for them from that shop across the way. Like,
To be fair,
it winds me up.
We were meant to be on the same flight, and I actually didn't have any time to get any food, so our flight got cancelled.
I tried the most strange pretzel, like pepperoni pizza thing. There's some weird and wonderful food out
So
here.
in Germany, they do a sausage with cheese in it.
Right.
So from a business trip point of view, that's probably the weirdest thing I've eaten.
Is that bad
say
though?
eaten.
Do you ever have a hot dog with like cheese on it? That ain't that
Squirty
bad.
cheese in the middle.
Oh, that can be a bit strange. You bite into it and you feel like...
And I wasn't expecting it either. So that made it even weirder. But anyway.
So many comments you can take around
exactly.
that little swerve.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, Austin, I really like coming here. I mean, obviously a lot of tech companies came here, 7 years ago. There's Google here, there's HubSpot here, Salesforce are here. Someone I spoke to early on said Oracle have got a massive campus here as well, but that's kind of... I don't think they're leaving, but it's downsizing or something.
Well, it's enormous. So if you go south to South Congress, it sounds going to sound really silly. When I was training for the marathon, I ran a lot of this, and I saw it, and I was like, that is huge, like absolutely huge.
I've heard it's like multiple acres. Like,
yeah, it's huge, it's massive, but it's on South Congress. There's a big park there, and they sort of look over it. It's really, it's a lovely plot. So if you're looking for space, that's where I'd go.
Yeah, I'll check how much the rent is for that.
Yeah,
I
can
can't
imagine.
it's too cheap.
Yeah.
Wicked. Yeah. So we went through some topics before as well.
Yeah.
Leadership and professional development was top one, unsurprisingly, a real big one there.
Yeah.
The second one you said was what I loved. So I always love something that's a little bit out there, and it's kind of like a strong opinion someone's got around like expectant culture that we'll go into as well.
Yeah.
And the last one then was around data and coaching, improvement, all that kind of stuff. We linked it a little bit towards sports, both football fans, so it made a bit of sense.
Yeah.
Any of those places you really want to start?
We can start with the hot one if you want.
Yeah, go on. I love a hot one. Let's start with the expectant culture and give me kind of like, why you said that to me, what it is that you think about it.
Listen, I'm 32. I am sort of on the cusp of like the old. I say old school, but I feel like I've worked with people that were classified as old school, and now I'm working with.
You carry a little bit of that.
They're different. Well, I know what was expected of me when I first started in recruitment. And I started as an intern. There was only graduates, and there was like I wasn't a graduate, and there was like, oh yeah, well you can come and work with us, and see how it goes for 3 months and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool. But like, when you get an opportunity to do something, you have to kind of prove to the people around you that you have what it takes to be part of that team. And again, like linking it back to sports and stuff like that, like you can imagine like Wayne Rooney when he first went to Man United going, well, I'm going to play. I know I'm going to play, so I'm not going to train.
Yeah.
What? Like, imagine how that would have gone down. Whereas now, like, for example, I don't know, Anthony, the player at Man United, he's like, look at him, he's like, really, mate? Like, so, and again, it's a bit of a weird, it's not a weird analogy, but like, when I look at it and I think, well, as an expectant culture, if you're not doing, firstly, in recruitment, you can't expect anything. You have to be prepared for the unexpected. All you can do when you first start is work hard. And I think that should be transferable to any job, any industry. If you go on a building site and you're a labourer and you're not pulling your weight, well, they're probably going to get rid of you fairly quickly. So, I feel like we're in a bit of a world of expectance from people, coming out of school or wherever it may be, and they're like, oh yeah, I've got a degree, I'm going to get a job, or oh well, I've got this job now, I'm not staying till this time because I don't have to, and which is fine, and it will potentially work in some places, but in my opinion, if you really want to do well in recruitment, it takes more.
It's a really interesting debate because I've seen so much of both sides, as you can imagine, where you've got some people that are just like, work-life balance is really important. People deserve to feel fully recharged. Like working more than 8 hours a day is going to take that away from you. We should be going towards a 4-day work week, all that kind of stuff. And others that say, forget about that. At the end of the day, if you're really committed to your career in your earlier years, like, me and your sort of age, a little bit younger as well, you'd say, really, this is your time to be building your career now. You've got to work really hard at it.
Yeah.
You then get those that kind of say, those that are of the former camp are, those are in the later camp are saying, they're being soft about it. Those that are in towards the kind of forward looking towards the later are like, you've got a real backwards way of thinking. It's not the way of the world anymore. And it is a really interesting balance, I think, between those two arguments that we keep on seeing.
Yeah, I think every business has their pros and cons, right? So, and every individual has their optimal way of working. I think you have to look at the type of business that you want to build or the type of people that you want to hire, what you're, as a group, trying to achieve. And I think when you've got a good understanding of like, okay, this is who we are as a business, this is how we identify ourselves in terms of like our values as an organisation, I think then you can start to profile the people that you want to hire. Does a 4 day a week working week work? There's not enough data around it to say yes or no. So in my opinion, no, because my clients are working on the 5th day. So if I go, I'm not working today, they'll be like, sorry.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that for me. I'm a big believer on doing the job and doing it well and doing it to. I'm not saying you've got to stay at work all day. Like I was just talking to the guys in the office, and I was like, right, who's going out then? And they're like, oh, I've got stuff to do. And I was like, well, I kind of want to go out.
And you as the boss are saying that to them.
exactly.
Do you feel a bit proud of that when you think about it? Those that do want to really kind of like, grasp
it's good. It's good, but there should be a balance. Like, don't be wrong. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a balance. And I've got children, so I know that, the time that I spend with them has to be good quality time. And I think that that's the work-life balance element, and being able to give people flexibility and stuff when they need it. But this like expectant culture, like, well, I want to work 4 days a week. Well, why? Yeah, but if there's logic to it and it makes sense and you've proven that you are capable, then different story. But there's a lot of people that just go, right, well, I saw XYZ doing this, so I want it. And I was like, go and work there then. So I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but I've kind of got to the point in my life where I'm a little bit like, no, I don't really care. Like, I'm not going to suffer bullshit. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's not a problem. And I'm going to be very transparent with what I want, and you be transparent with what you want. And if it doesn't meet, it doesn't work. And I think that's the only way you can kind of work with people.
Yeah, this is one thing we've done, I think, during a lot of hiring processes, like in our business lately, which has been good, is just from very early on in the process, kind of saying, here are reasons why you shouldn't take this job. And it can be things like, you're coming into a place that's got no process. Like, we're going to build that together. It's going to be rocky, but you're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to help us build that, right? Or it might be, maybe our salaries aren't as high as what you could find at a high-tech company, but we're a smaller business, we haven't got the kind of money they have, that's how things are going to go. And I think just laying out and being really honest in day one, like you say, those walk away who don't want to. And we hired a new product leader back in January, and I remember I think I put 14 people through to the next step from the first massive applicants we had. I always do a 10-minute video introducing the company and saying why you shouldn't work here. Of those 14 people, 2 came back and said, on reflection from watching the video, I appreciate the opportunity, but it's not for me. Yeah. And I was like, thank God. Because if I'd gone into another round of interviews and then spent an hour talking to them for them to then go afterwards, you know what, actually, Derry, that's not really for me. I've saved us both an hour there. So rather than being sad that someone has kind of looked at our company and gone, it's not good enough or it's not what I want, more look back at that time saving. I think that's a much bigger piece to it.
I think, probably similar for you, but I think when you first start your company as the owner or the founder of the company, you kind of want everyone to want to work for you.
You want to be liked.
It's a weird. It's not a weird one. I suppose it's pretty logical, but like you kind of think, well, actually, why don't these people want to work for me? And in the end, I'm like,
don't care.
I don't give a fuck.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I do care. Obviously, I want us to build a brand and I want us to build a reputation and I want people to want to work for us, obviously, but I want people to want to work for us for the right reasons now.
So it's like a football club. Like we've been at football early on, right? Like, does everyone want to go and play under Pep? Probably not. Some of them look at him probably terrified by him. Just think, God, like I'll grow a lot, but that's high pressure.
Yeah,
same as like going to work like Amazon or something like that. Would you really want Jeff Bezos like screaming down at you every other day? Like maybe not, but if you're up to the challenge, then absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I keep saying, if any of my guys watch this back now, they'll laugh because I say it all the time. Like, we have like moments where we come together as a team, like our annual offsites or our quarterly get-togethers, and you have that real kind of sense of togetherness and like, we're a family, it's great. But I hate using the word family in business.
Yeah.
Every time someone says it, I'm like, we're not a family, we're a high-performing team. There's a difference.
Yeah.
A family won't drop you, for example, when things aren't going so well. Your family for life is the idea, whereas in a team, like a sports team, high-performing players know that if you aren't high-performing for a long period of time, you're probably not staying in that team, right?
Yeah. So, as I say, like for me, that's the way that I look at it now. It's like, well, actually, as a team, there's two sports that I take quite a lot of affinity to. Let's say, so Formula One.
Favorite driver?
It used to be Lewis Hamilton.
George Russell.
Is George Russell?
Yeah, I love George.
Really annoying.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah, I quite like Lando.
I think everyone in the UK likes that.
Yeah, I used to like Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, Danny Rick, yeah. Drive for Survive definitely made him very, very likeable.
Yeah, I used to like him. I've kind of gone off him.
Why?
Ricciardo?
Yeah.
Just kind of gone off the people in Formula One a little bit.
Why? What do you mean?
Because it's just like, same. Like, I can go on, I don't even have to Google it. I know that Max Verstappen's probably won the race. Yes. I know that Lewis has probably started 10th and finished like 7th or something. I know that Daniel Ricciardo's probably crashed. Lando Norris is Lando Norris with Charles Leclerc is on the podium, so I'm just a bit like
it's
so
predictable,
predictable. Although when it comes to Austin, I will go. Just to say,
it's a good crack. I went to Silverstone last year, and that was a really good crack. Yeah,
it's the weather
really
though.
good.
Again, it's the only thing.
You got better chances of good weather out here than you have in Silverstone, and Silverstone was flawless all weekend, so you should be all right.
Good, yeah. So the reason why I compare it to it, and to be fair, one of the people that I used to work, the old CEO of my old company, he was an ex-consultant, and one of the things that he used to say was like, if everyone does their in the pit stop, that's the bit that fascinates me. So if everyone's doing their 1% and improving the vehicle or putting the parts of the vehicle on, if they just focus on what they deliver, they can deliver something special. And I think that's quite a interesting analogy, because you look at like the guy who's doing the left rear and the front right or whatever, they don't know what each other are doing. All they're doing is focused on each other, on themselves, and that's what drives the car forward. And it's the same really with how they manufacture the car. Like every team has their own element that they're responsible for. There's an engineer for this, there's an engineer for that. But as individuals, they're worthless. But as a collective, they're really powerful. So that's why I look at it like. And the same with football, exactly the same.
It's a really interesting conversation there, because one thing people hearing that might say is, then, well, what about the kind of sense of purpose, the belonging to the greater piece? And that kind of steps away from doing the job itself, and almost is what a leader then drives you around, is understanding how you fit as a cog in this greater machine, and why what you do is so important, right? Yeah. It's almost like saying, if you don't do your job to an amazing standard, all these other guys can be the best in the world. It will mean nothing if you're taking 5 seconds to change a wheel and it's taking them 1.5. Yeah,
exactly. It's irrelevant. So, and again, it comes back to this whole conversation is very connected, in my opinion, because this expectant culture of going, well, why am I not getting that job, or why is this person getting the praise? Like, different people need different things, and I feel as though, from a leadership point of view, my job, because that was the other thing as well. Like, you sort of like promote yourself to become the CEO of your own company, and I was like, what the fuck does a CEO do?
I ask myself that every day.
Yeah, so do I.
Fly to Austin and do podcasts, apparently.
People basically, but they've actually put me in London in my own office, because they said you're a very big distraction. So go and be the CEO in that room over there. But
stare at a whiteboard, like
basically,
not pensive.
It's essentially what I do. / watch football highlights at some point in the day. But the point is that when I actually boil it down, I think that the vision element, the communication of the vision, I think that's one where a lot of people fall short. But the constant reminders, the constant working with the team, the constant building that team, looking for the opportunities, the 1%, looking for the opportunities where we can improve, why we can improve, what's working, what's not working, being constantly on it, but really, making sure that people in the team, you're communicating to the people in your team, this is what we want, this is why we want it, this is where we're going, and building the team's morale in a positive way, so that when they go back to their desk as a sales consultant, as a delivery consultant, whatever it is, it's a fucking hard job. Like when you go and speak to people that don't really want to speak to you or haven't heard of you, and doing that 1%
a day,
exactly, and doing those mundane tasks, they need to know why they're doing it. Obviously, commission's a big part of that, so you need to be vocal about what you can earn and all that sort of stuff. The incentive trips and all that stuff. They're like visual things, but as a start, well, we're not really a startup anymore, but as a smaller business or growing business is probably a better way to talk about it. They need to know that there's an opportunity for them to be, especially in my business, to have ownership of something. And I guess it's the same for you, right? So you might not get the best salary in your business, but you've potentially got a lot of ownership to lead and influence and work with a CEO.
Totally.
So again, getting back into not everyone is the right person, and not being bothered by the fact that not everyone's going to be the right person for you, and just doing what's right for your business, be it not taking no bullshit, be it setting examples of what you want, why you want it, and working and pushing people in order to get the best results in order to do that. These are the things that I think are important for any business in this climate to survive.
To do all that and then go back into your office and watch football highlights.
Perfect, yeah.
Spot on.
Depends how efficient you are, right?
Doesn't it just? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good segue, because that second point is about that leadership and professional development point. I think you've kind of given us a really good primer of the whole area there. as you've gone from a few people to 10 to 20 to 40 as you are now, what are the biggest things that you've learned about leadership? It's harder than maybe we thought it was.
It's leadership is different for everyone. People have different opinions of it. I think that, what have I learnt about it? I think you've got to be yourself. I think that that's something that, again, like not pretending to appease people is an important one. I think one of the big things, like communication, like for me is like the be all and end all, regardless of level that you're in, and obviously in what we do is super important. But from a leadership point of view, if you don't communicate, then how does anyone know what you're thinking, or why am I asking people to come in at this time? Why am I asking people to leave at this time? Why am I asking people to do X number of sourcing calls a week? If they don't understand, and you can sort of re-engineer the process for them, and if you don't communicate, basically, long story short, if you don't communicate with those people, and they don't understand the vision and the idea behind it, I think that that's something which is detrimental to you sort of lying to yourself in that respect. And I think that, like, for me, leadership is all about being true to yourself, having ambition, and obviously one of the big things in my business, and when I started this business, the reason I left my old company is that I'd got to a certain point and I was like, what? There wasn't really much more that I could have got. Like, I could have got promoted and stuff, but the job wouldn't have changed necessarily, and I was a bit like, don't know. But one of the big things for me is, and for example, the guy that works here now, I said to him the same thing, is that if your ambition, like I said, what are you going to do after this? Like, you would have, like, you're a young guy, you build $2 million in the last 2 years. Like, you're out here, you're going to add this to your profile. Like, what are you going to do after? He was like, I don't really know. And I was like, well, do you think you're going to leave? But like, it's not the sense that, like, obviously I don't want him to leave, but my rule is, like, if your ambition outweighs mine, and I'm not able to help you get to where you want to get to, and you feel like you can do that elsewhere, then fair, like,
But why? Let's make a bunch of money together.
Yeah, exactly. But again, communicating that to people versus this whole, well, you've got a non-compete, like that type of way of working is completely detrimental, because you can't manage, I don't think now, via fear or by hierarchy. We can, obviously, because you are still their boss and you pay them and stuff like that, and there is that element to it. But in my opinion, the best way of leading people is communicating with people, working with them, understanding them, making sure that you've profiled your team, that you understand what works in your team, what doesn't, and then fundamentally, really then pushing on those points and driving, so
yeah.
communication,
rather than making it quite, like I say, a very transactional thing in a sense. And
yeah,
I guess there's kind of a balance here also to find about the whole, like, expectant culture piece that you mentioned earlier, right? Is because on one hand it's like you've got to be very human, have a very real conversation. Look, you've got ambitions in life, so have I.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be by when? Does that match up to us? If we can't provide it, let's have a good run at it while we're together. But when the time comes, I accept that you'll want to move on.
Yeah,
That's cool, mate. Best of luck and all the rest of
Yeah.
it. Versus someone maybe being a bit too expectant and saying, well, in 2 years' time, I want to be a director.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, are you billing enough for that? And I'm like, well, no, but I feel I can get there because that guy's a director and he's done it, therefore I should be able to. And managing that can be a battle when one side has definitely got different expectations than the other, though, right?
It used to make me laugh because people used to go to me like, well, you don't do it. And I was like, what do you mean I don't do it? And like, fair enough, like, but I was still doing, like, but I said, I bill more than you. And I was like, I've done it.
How does that work?
I've done it. All the groundwork of, like, getting to, or like, this person doesn't do it. And I was like, they've been here for 4 years. They've done it. Like, they've all, I think people are expectant, it seems, not everyone, but they just expect, I'm going to be making loads of money in recruitment.
They think it'll be easy.
Yeah, it's not fucking easy. So I think that expectant culture of, like, wanting to be, I'm going to be earning 150k, 100k, yeah, easy. Like, okay, cool. If you think that, then fair play. But if that happens, then tell me where, because I will go there.
That can happen, but you got to work hard for it, right?
Exactly. Of course, it can happen. And you know, we as a company have got a good track record of taking people that are part of that and understand, you know, what we want to do and why we want to do it and what they need to do, and really running with it. And there is an element of luck to it at the start, 100%. You call the right person at the right time. Yeah, I'm hiring. Great, and that's it. You know, there is that element to it. But
luck does have a really weird way of repeating itself when someone does the same behaviours over and over again.
100%. Yeah. And embedding those behaviours in people at a early point in their recruitment career is important. You know, it's like a dog. You know, if you train it well, and I've got a dog and it's absolutely crazy. So.
You haven't trained it well then.
It now goes to dog camp. That's not kind of my way of.
Last I checked, there's not such thing as recruiter camp, I'm afraid. So.
No, well, we've got an L&D program, and I would say it's very much like a recruiter camp. So it has its moments. But yeah, coming back to your point, I think that people when we're now interviewing people again from just a learning, like just how we communicate what we want, why we want it, you know. Where we want to get to, and does that work for you? And that's it, really. Like, if it doesn't, it doesn't. It is what it is.
And that then ties into the third piece you mentioned earlier around like data, right? Because they might turn around and say to you, "Well, it's worked for that guy," and you can be like, "Well, here's what they did to get to that point.
Yeah,
what he or she did. They performed to this level for this amount of time. And they got these results.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
I'm going to do a plug for One Up here, but
go ahead, mate. That's why I'm here.
To be fair, like. When I've obviously looked at a lot of different things, a lot of different systems, and I'm not going to name which ones that I've seen, and I'm just like, they're really bulky, and it comes back to the point, like, this job's super simple if you do the right things well. Again, things can go well, things can't go well. You've got to build up, you know, levels of resilience, and you know, people. I always say people are the most tricky commodity in the world, like, because they are so unpredictable at times.
Both team members and of course. Contact
candidates. Like, honestly, like, wow, I've had some. I've heard some crazy stories.
I've heard plenty of good ones.
Yeah, but the point is, like, if as a leader of business, and I think more so as you, well, I suppose it's important all the time, but more so as you start to scale and you start to get more than like 5, 6, 7 people underneath you. The more clarity you have on what is working and what isn't working, the better, basically, in my opinion. So, are your business development calls working? So, are you making enough calls? Yeah. So, kind of the other way, actually. So, are you doing deals? Yes or no? No. Okay. Have you had any offers? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Well, what happened to them? Yeah. Candidate didn't accept or didn't want to relocate. Why haven't you asked that? A bit late down the line. Yeah, like, what do you mean? Like, so okay, so there's a qualification problem there. So it's like root cause analysis. Okay, no, I've not had any first interviews. Have you had any final interviews? No, I've not. Okay, have you had any first interviews? No. Blah 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 blah. All the way back. But then it's like, well, I've not winning any jobs. Okay, well, are you doing BD calls? No. Are you calling anyone? No. Well, there's the problem then, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a case of, again, coming back to the leadership piece, it's not a case of leading and going, well, we want you to do 50 BD calls, and if you don't do that, you've got to come and have a meeting with me on a Friday. Who wants to do that? Like, why would anyone want to do that?
Yeah.
It's about what you do with the data. And again, we spoke earlier about the sports teams, that they have data for everything. Calories that goes into the player, the steps they do, I don't know, their body fat, all of random, probably loads of things, like the amount of times that they've headed the ball, the amount of times they've kicked the ball on the left foot, whatever it is, at the top level. And again, you should always want to compete at the top level, right? So if I can get the data that's granular and go, well, I'm not saying I'm going to go into someone and go, why didn't you do this and this and this? That's the wrong way to use the data.
Yeah.
And that's poor management. That's lazy.
It's like a robot could say that. And to liken it to the football example, because people kind of like think about that as an outside context from sales or recruitment. If you're like looking at someone's calorie intake and go, why is he eating 4,500 calories a day?
Yeah.
Like, that's got to come down. It's like, well, do you know that you're trying to bulk up here? So he's a bit fight more physically on the pitch, for example.
Like Jamie Vardy has 3 Red Bulls and what's the other thing he had before a game?
It's mad, isn't it?
But like, think about it. Clearly, obviously, for most people, like, that's probably, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But you know, for him it works because he does this, and this. That works really, really well for him. And I'm not sure what the data is behind that for him, but I'm guessing he's doing a good job.
The data scientist that's written that down as anomaly.
Yeah. This guy is not right. But yeah, listen, there are people like that in recruitment.
Yeah.
I've had people in my team before, and I look at them and I think, what do you actually do, and how do you make money? Because I cannot work it out. But as a general rule of thumb, there will always be things, and it helps us as a it should help us as a leadership team, and this is where the leadership piece, in my opinion, has changed. So we've gone from an authoritative leadership, like hierarchical, like I'm your boss, you do what I tell you to do, don't like it, you can go, culture, to, and this is where the expectant part partly is good, into like changing it to like, okay, well, I now need to be a coach, yeah? So I'm the head coach, and the people underneath me are then the coaches or head coaches for their individual teams. They need to be constantly looking at this data as a leader and thinking of ways where they can improve their team's performance, yeah? And ultimately, it's about putting more money on the board, right, at the end of the day. How can we be better at what we do? How can we maximise the return on the amount of hours that we are in the office to make more money, you know? And people shouldn't be afraid of, well, people should be afraid if your boss is just going, well, you've not done enough calls, you've got to stay until 10 o'clock at night. That's the wrong way of looking at it, right? Just because you've headed the ball 50 times doesn't mean if you do it another 50 times it's going to make any difference. It's got to be for the right reasons, if that makes sense. So,
totally.
You know, I think that it's how you use it, how the leadership team use it, you know, what our standards are and why there are standards, and communicating that.
I think that why piece is the big one. Like there's bless her, one of our senior customer success managers, Eleanor. Whenever I announce to the company some kind of change that's going on, whether it's a policy change or that we're doing something, she's the first person to message me and ask why we're doing that. Not like a challenging way to be like, I think it's the wrong call, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
But she just really wants to understand. And I think that's the most important thing about data when people use it, is they don't care about the why. They're kind of like, look, I'm busy, I ain't got the time. I'm telling you how it is, go off and do it. And if someone can't understand or rationalise the reason why they should be doing something like that, they're probably not put their heart and soul into it, are they?
No.
Yeah, it's almost like if you said to someone, a footballer again, run around the pitch 4 times. Why? Just go and do it.
Yeah.
What? Like, why? Well, your fitness levels are down at the minute. We need to keep doing more cardio. So every training session from now on, at the end of it,
It's what you need to do, yeah.
All right, cool, understand. And what would the outcome be, X, Y, and Z, based on what we've seen with other players that have done this before? We're talking football a lot today, aren't we?
I know, it's good though.
I love it. I like it because it likes it back to like a non-recruitment example, which I think is really good for analogies.
Our non-football fans, or your non-football fans, are probably going to be like,
we could translate it into rugby or F1 if you really want to.
I love to watch rugby. I don't fully understand everything that's going on. But if I had to pick, I'd pick a Six Nations game over certain sports. So
do you like NFL in America by any chance?
No, it's absolutely shit.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it because it's really tactical.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah, I went to watch Austin FC here, which was interesting.
Brand new team, aren't they? Basically, 2 or 3 years.
21, I think. Yeah,
I went to this. Well, I'm really good at tangents on this podcast, apparently.
Yeah.
And when I was here for the conference the other day, we got to our second session. It wasn't a very good session, so I left and went to go and watch the second half of Villa versus Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I met an American guy in there. Yeah, 2 o'clock. Exactly. The conference was crap. Whatever. Left to go and watch the game, and there was a guy in there who's a Liverpool fan, an American chap who lived in Austin.
Yeah.
And he was saying, Austin FC is like a thing, like only been around 2 or 3 years. He's like, the fans are like absolutely loving it and all that.
You want to see it?
Is it mad?
It's not. I don't know.
Because someone I was saying to, I was saying to the person having lunch there, and they were like, all the time, like the seats are sold out. Like it's not seats are standing, but it's always sold out. I was like, that's cool. I was like, if you guys learn any better chance than let's go and all that, because that's what you hear in the sports. And she was like, we've got some on the way. I'm just like, okay, so what does that mean?
I can't say exactly what I did before. Basically, I went out before, right? And I got there and I was like, what is going on here?
Is it terrible?
There's just people, there's a person with a drum. I was like literally open mouthed. And I was like, bear in mind that I'm a season ticket holder at West Ham. Like, I've been to like some really good like London derbies, and I'm like watching. To be fair, it was Austin FC versus Dallas, FC Dallas. So it was like a Texan derby, and it was like It's not Derby. So, yeah. I think
they're all so nice to each other.
Yeah, they are. They are. The MLS All-Star game is in Austin.
Okay.
Which will be pretty cool. But yeah.
I've always noticed that is the fans are always so nice to each other.
They are. Everyone's nice to each other here, to be fair.
That is true.
And that is so different to London.
That is true. That guy Kevin bought me a beer. He was like, if you come back over, gave me his number. He's like, you come back over, we'll go to a game together. I was like,
we found a Man United pub. Well, I'm not a Man United fan, but we found one, which is basically next to where I live. And it's just unreal. The banter was 10 out of 10. Like,
what's it?
Well, they weren't actually. I can't really explain it, but like it was to watch as a person from the UK. There was like they're talking about Liverpool, and it was like Liverpool is full of shit. And like singing songs and all that. And like,
I don't know.
I went, have you ever been to Liverpool? It's like 30 miles away from Manchester, right? It's very similar. It was good. But yeah, so like hiring people here is now trying to translate our thought process or my thought process to people here is it's been pretty tough, I must admit.
It's one thing I remember hearing, God, it's probably a good 6-7 years ago now. I was speaking to one of our clients who had just opened 2 offices in the US, and they were saying the real blessing is that over in the US these days in recruitment, there is no concept to spending 3-4 hours a day on the phone. It's just not really the done thing, whereas in the UK, obviously, we're incredibly used to that. So you send a few folks over here who are willing to do that and kind of change that culture and that expectation of, well, we're going to spend hours a day on the phone. They're like, yeah, like get on the phone, let's do it. And that really did well for them in the early days. But the more people I speak to over here now, it's normality to spend quite a lot of time on the phone or trying to be on the phone, given the restrictions that are coming in that you mentioned.
Yeah, listen, again, maybe it's the phone provider saying nonsense to me, but I just feel like, especially when you're the first hires that you want to make, like for anything, you want them to have the right morals and the right thought process and stuff like that. So we are taking our time to do it because I want to do it right. And unfortunately, I haven't got loads of people from London because of their girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, or families. Family, like, really.
How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. How dare you have a family?
I know, right?
But yeah,
how do yours cope you travelling?
I think they like it. They like me away, probably.
No,
to be fair, yeah, it's like one of those things, like, you know, like when you've got a really annoying person around all the time. And then
do you think you're the annoying person?
Oh, 100%. and you go, and I really miss that annoying person. I don't think they would ever tell me that, but I think they probably would. So yeah.
Is that what you convince yourself to actually make you believe that they do miss you?
Yes. Yeah.
It's why they let you out of the office in London every now and then as well. How the CEO office.
Do we want to do an incentive or a trip? Can we let him out for half an hour to speak to people about it? Yeah.
Can we get him bought in as well?
Yeah, exactly. So class. Yeah, that's it. I think the collective of like building now the team and having this commonality of how we want to work and how we want to operate, that's going to be our challenge moving forward, and that obviously requires me being here and spending time.
Totally. I mean, and behind all that, there must be some kind of like system or process or framework that you guys run when it comes to coaching and developing people, making sure that they're staying on their kind of toes. And when I say the toes, I don't mean in a bad way, but again, coming back to that sports team example, you can be Wayne Rooney of old, but if you have 6 bad months, for example, you might find yourself getting benched, for example. I'm not saying this was the case, but how do you maintain those standards? What frameworks have you got in place?
I think if you look at what people are doing, like, so again, like if their outputs aren't there, they're not, for example, Wayne Rooney scoring goals, and you look at what his inputs are, like, what is it? Like, where is it that, you know, people are falling short? Are they falling short because they're just not trying, or are they falling short because, I don't know, XYZ's not happening, or they've had a bit of bad luck? Like, there is an element of that as well. Like, people do go through these periods of time where, for whatever reason, and sometimes you can't always put your finger on it, these patches potentially happen. And what good recruiters are able to do over a period of time is that when their lows are low, and business owners and businesses in general, their lows aren't lows, if that makes sense. So they are lows for them. Like they might be billing 50k a month, but maybe they were doing 20k a month for a period of time. They're still putting money on the board, right? Yeah. It's not really where you want them to be.
It's not exceptional, but it's still acceptable.
No, but it's still it's still better than nothing, right? So they're able to mitigate their lows, and that's kind of what I expect an experienced person to be able to do over a period of time. But that being said, you look at what they're doing, and you know, you look at the taking a step back and looking actually, well, what is actually going on and why are these things happening? Is it the market? Like we took a big decision to come out of the market like 2 years ago. It was our highest performing team, and to really invest those people's effort into what we call now clean tech. So we're doing like electric vehicle stuff. We're doing loads of stuff like RPOs and all that sort of stuff. And we kind of didn't really believe in the battery electric vehicle stuff, and you're kind of seeing the thing of it now, really. So we took all that team. Again, the communication piece was important, and said like, this is why we're doing it. This is where we see the business going, and so on and so on. And no one left. And some of them are doing like really good numbers that had next to no experience at the time, and it's quite rewarding to see people that like sort of adopt something that you think and fundamentally like it's on them as well, right? So they've sort of taken it upon themselves to roll with it and push it, and always for me is that if people are ambitious and they want to work and they want to drive themselves and want to make something of themselves, then even if they have bad spells, like that's when you do stick together because you know that they can do it.
Yeah,
it's when you don't know that they can do it and they're just not really trying. You're like, oh, it's not going to work then, is it?
Totally. Yeah, totally like that. Okay, I've got something else fun for you because we want to do this on these episodes as well.
Cool.
Think about, hasn't got to be the most favourite or the worst, but a favourite story you've got from your career. It can be about you or about someone that's worked for you, whatever you pick, and then a horror story where something's gone horribly wrong.
What, actually in my work, or
it either can be in your work, it can be someone that you've managed, it can be anything you choose. I had a great one a couple of weeks ago. Someone who was on the phone to a client being a little bit difficult, this client or whatever, or this person that was speaking to was being difficult. His manager strolls over, like grabs the phone off him, just tells him to fuck off basically. Turned out it was a client, their highest paying client, paying 600 grand a year. The client like cancelled the contract and lost them 600 grand a year. Just because the manager had a bit of fucking mouth on him and couldn't stop talking.
Bet that went down well.
Didn't
let me think. So the
favourite story can be one where it's a particularly good moment where someone, I don't know, has really kind of propelled themselves to new heights, have done something really cool. Horror story can be where it's been an absolute disaster car crash. It can be a bad hire you've made. It can be anything.
Oh, the bad hire, I've got a few of those. So
there's always a good bit of learning from one of these, though. So think about one.
So I'm quite impulsive, right?
Yeah.
So like sometimes I just, again, it's kind of contradictory to what I'm saying about data and stuff because I do look
there's
at
a bit
it
of gut
and stuff
in there
like that.
as well.
But like in my mind, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So my mate recommended someone to me who he'd met on the street, who played the banjo.
Okay.
I think it was I don't even know. Anyway, so he came into the office with the banjo, and spoke with him, and I was like, oh, he seems like quite a nice guy. Like he's obviously out there, he does his own thing, he's got his own YouTube thing, and whatever. I'm not going to say who he is. And then it was Friday afternoon, so he actually performed with I think it's either a ukulele or a banjo. I don't know what the difference is, but anyway,
something like of some kind.
Wasn't a guitar, wasn't a cello. It was smaller than that. So anyway, so he performed in front of the whole company on a Friday, and I was like, I've got some bollocks to do that, like fair play. So we hired him. So he started on the Monday, and I got told on the Wednesday that he didn't know that he was doing recruitment.
No way.
He thought he was selling cars. So that was the first bit. But then on the Friday, we went out. So we had 2 or 3 new starters on that Friday. He went out. He got so drunk, like beyond. He called someone that worked for us a fat something or another, right? And then he was like talking to me and all spit was going in my face. And I was like, I just said to him, mate, just please don't come back on Monday. Like, this can't happen. I was like, you can't do what you've done. Like, anyway, and then the worst bit about it is I come in on Monday and he was there. And he was like, I thought you was joking. I was like,
yeah, nah.
I actually just burst out laughing. I was like, "This is not going to work, is it, mate? Like, seriously?" Like, and he was like, "Oh," and so I don't know what he does now. I think he still plays his banjo.
Probably still plays his banjo.
Yeah. Good stuff. Like, there's loads of good stuff. Like, I've obviously got the like, sort of typical like, built a business, and a lot of people have done really well out of it and stuff like that. I mean, we've had some really, really good incentives, like really good. Like we just came back from Dubai. That was unbelievable. Like just I think what to be fair, the first trip I ever went on when I was working at Chapman Black, I was 18, went to Ibiza, and I was like, what? I was like with all older people, and I was like, what? Where am I? And what is going on here? And just that, being able to give that, hopefully, I don't actually know, but being able to give those types of experiences to people, I'm just like, they must, because yeah, I think that's important, like to be able to give people opportunities and more importantly experiences which they wouldn't ordinarily have. For me, like we've done some really cool stuff, and I'd say that those are the best things.
And it's like some people will turn around and say, just pay more money in that case, give them a bonus or something so they can choose what they want to do. But the one thing I've always thought is one of the best things you can give to people is experiences.
Yeah.
Because although people say I'd rather go with my family or my boyfriend or whatever it is,
Yeah.
I think equally going away with those that you do graft every single day with inside the business, day in, day out, slogging away to make results happen.
Yeah.
Being able to go with them and just kind of let your head down a bit and celebrate.
The team element is important, right? To build that collective, and to be fair, like it's good for me, and it should be good for any owner to have like the off-site stuff and the downtime stuff where people can, especially when they have a couple of beers or wines or whatever, they can tell you their honest feedback on stuff. I love that. That's good.
Me too.
And to be, I always take it with a pinch of salt. Like, I've had some people go, "You've been a right dickhead lately," and I'm like, to be fair, I probably have. Yeah. So yeah, it's having that, being able to sort of take it all and deal with it in the right way is important. But,
and it comes back to the whole conversation from earlier about being able to be human with people as well, right? Where it's like, you think about days of old, like if you're at like a Christmas party or something like that, and someone went to the boss and said, "Oh, you've been a bit of a dick lately." Days of old, you'd be like,
gone, yeah.
You'd be raked out on coals for
it depends. To be fair, like I say that if someone if someone just came up to me and said that, I'd be like, "What?"
Like, what's your issue?
Yeah, exactly. It depends who it is and how it's said, and obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's just almost like the days of kind of the corporate fear, I suppose, have gone in a lot of companies where you can have.
There's good and bad to it. I think that, listen, people need to, in my opinion, I think the world's starting to go back, hopefully a little bit to this, but people need to really, especially with how things are, want to work, want to push themselves, want to develop, want to take ownership over stuff. You can't just sit there and expect to be given stuff,
Totally.
And I think that's only going to have a positive impact. So yeah.
Fair play. And I haven't got my list of quick fire questions I normally ask, but I remember most of them.
Go on.
I hate the word as well. Favourite influencer, LinkedIn, whatever. Who do you really like looking up to and reading stuff from?
I can't say what I was going to say out loud.
You can't say me.
No, I can't actually say who I was going to say.
Why not?
Because it won't go down very well, so I can't say it. So we'll skip that one.
All right then.
To be fair, like I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I
was about to ask you favourite book or podcast. Yeah.
I'm not really a book person, but so when I was doing the marathon training, I was listening to motivational speeches as I was running, and it was getting really so like David Goggins stuff and all that. But that doesn't really interest me. It's more, I like sports stuff, like, for example, the overlap one, I think it's good to stick to football. I quite like, I think that's pretty good. I'd say that is probably the thing I'm listening to at the moment.
Things that are quite interesting and engaging in that sense.
I like listening to people's, I quite like Roy Keane. I don't know why, because to be fair, he seems alright. It doesn't seem that bad.
He winds some people up, but doesn't everyone?
I like listening to the old stories of football and I just like listening up to, like, if there's a film and it says, it might not even be true, and it says based on a true story, I'm in straight away. So I like listening to things that have happened.
It's where they grade out the word loosely based on a true story. Yeah. You still fall safe.
Like any like war sort of thing that's based on like World War II or World War One or whatever, I'm in it straight away. Like that's so anything like, it's a bit off topic here, but anything which is like sports stars and what it was like then and what it's like now, and anything which is sort of along the lines of that, I take interest in.
Fair enough. And the final question for you: if you could give a tip to any aspiring recruitment agency owner, for example, or someone who's maybe just getting started on that journey, what bit of advice would you give to them?
For a business owner to start when they start, I think for me, cash is king, especially with the climate that we're in at the moment. Don't bite off more than you can chew. I think that there's there seems to be a lot of businesses that are just going, I'm going to hire loads of people, and I'm sort of like, well, there's got to be, I don't know, I'm not in the business, it's difficult for me to say, but there has to be some structure to what you want to do before you do it. You can't build a house on bad foundations. But really, like in the infancy of your business, focus on cash. So if you've not got cash from somewhere, then focus on getting it. Don't overextend yourself with stupid contracts and stuff. And yeah, stick to your guns. Like focus on the quality of the work that you're working on. Kind of tell yourself. It's easy to say now, but kind of tell yourself what you'd want to hear. If that made sense. Like what we were saying earlier. Like if you want everyone to like you, and you want everyone to want to do business with you, and at the start, no one knows you as who you are in your business. You might have a non-compete, whatever it may be. So just focus really on the quality and executing what you can do. Don't overextend and build up your cash.
Love it. Nice and straightforward as well. Cash is king, I think, is always number one.
Yeah, yeah. Basically,
that's why it says cash is king.
Basically,
right?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
But Wiki
Cashless is king now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Love it. Cool. Any final shout outs? Anything else you want to mention? If you want to kind of find you anywhere or anything like that?
No, not really. I think that we're pretty out there on LinkedIn, so you can find us, and we'll make sure that we reshare this and stuff. And it's been good.
They'll see it, mate. I'm sure.
Been good chatting.
Yeah, that's mate. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks, mate.
No worries at all. Look forward to this one.
Yeah, it was good.